If you've been following our E38 series of videos, you'll know that I bought this 2001 BMW 740iL in September 2015. As we approach my 18-month anniversary with this car, we've put together a video to show you some of the things that you need to look out for and you should know if you're in the market for an E38 BMW 7 Series.
I want to start off by saying that I don't know everything about these cars, so it's strongly recommended that you bring any vehicle to a professional before making any serious financial decisions. This is the most comprehensive video we've done on common problems with the E38, but we can't cover every single problem that could arise. Every car is different, and you'll likely encounter new problems that we might not cover here. I suggest visiting these websites as they're a collection of the best information I've found on the E38 BMW 7 Series.
Before we discuss what to look out for, we need to begin with the basics. The E38 began production for the 1995 model year and ended in 2001. The E38 received a mid-life update called a Life Cycle Impulse, or LCI for short. That started in September 1998. On your left, we have the pre-facelift 740i with rectangular headlights and the unpainted lower valence. On the right, we have the LCI 740iL with the scalloped headlight design, which is similar to the E46 3 Series. Also, the side skirts have removed their visible jack points. The final changes for 2001 included clear front signal indicators, body-colored lower valences, side skirts, and the rear indicators, which were once amber.
Three models were offered for the North American market: the short wheelbase 740i, the long wheelbase 740iL, and the V12 750iL. Until 1998, the V12s used the M73 B54 5.4-liter engine, with a technical update replacing those until the end of production. The V8s had three different engines throughout series production. For 1995, the 4-liter M60 B40 engine was used, but suffered from damage to cylinder bores due to excessive amounts of sulfur in US fuel. Check to see if the short block has been replaced with an alicyl component. From 96 to 98, the larger 4.4-liter M62 B44 engine was used, which addressed this issue, with the technical update adding BMW's variable valve timing Vanos from 98 onward. There's much debate about which engine to buy. The E38 community could argue indefinitely about which engine is the most reliable and which is least desirable. Many prefer the pre-LCI model since they don't have to worry about Vanos. Others, like myself, went with the final year of production under the assumption that BMW worked out all the problems with the chassis. There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer since every car will ultimately be different. When it comes to any V8 engine, you need to understand that BMW went to town on engineering it to be the best possible performer, but decided the timing chain didn't need anything sophisticated to guide it through the engine, and sourced some plastic from that Chinese company that makes knockoff Lego. Suffice it to say, the timing chain guides will be a headache if your engine starts to sound like a diesel, but if you're willing to replace them yourselves, you're looking at about $800 for parts. While you're at it, things like gaskets and seals should be done too. When it comes to the 750iLs, you won't have to worry about timing chain guides or Vanos issues, and overall the M73 have less weak points, considering they're just two BMW inline-6 engines sandwiched together. While I don't own a V12 and haven't serviced one, I can tell you that the process is significantly different than that of the V8. While the M73s are more reliable, chances are you're going to spend just as much maintaining the car, considering you have 4 additional spark plugs, 2 mass airflow sensors, 2 engine control units, yet 6 fewer ignition coils. Considering there's a higher demand for 750iLs today, the initial cost of purchase will likely be more. There's been a recent wave of catalyst failures over the past year. Hundreds have had the same problem with power delivery, where the engine will misfire and shudder under wide open throttle. This is due to clogged up catalytic converters, potentially up to 4 with the M62 TUB44 engine. Catalysts aren't expensive. Aftermarket options could cost as little as $200, or go for a lightly used set like I did for even less. Keeping the engine cool was also a problem for BMW. They recycled the same garbage plastic from the timing chain guides and made a radiator out of it. Average life expectancy for the coolant system is around 100,000 kilometers and can leave you stranded if the plastic breaks on a hot summer day. Check for pooled coolant behind the headlights. There are two types of 5-speed automatic transmissions offered in North America, the standard transmission and the Steptronic sport-oriented one. You can tell apart the Steptronic option by looking at the shifter. The regular ones are straight sequential shift from park down to the lower gears, whereas the Steptronic shifter looks a little more modern by shifting the manual gears over to the side. BMW sold these cars as having lifetime fluid, and half the enthusiasts will tell you that that's a bunch of BS and to change the fluid regularly, whereas the other half stand by BMW's engineering and recommend only changing the fluid if you start having problems. There are two suspension systems to check out. On Sport and Sport option models, the Sport Electronic Damper Control or SEDC button on the center console is a dead giveaway, but can be distinguished by the electronic connectors going into the engine bay strut towers. Aftermarket options are available to remove this feature, but if you want to replace all four shocks, you could be looking at $1,200 per corner for new parts. The other suspension option was the rear self-leveling suspension, which allows the rear of the car to be loaded up with heavy stuff and bolster the rear shocks as to not affect ride performance. The system is tied into the power steering unit and is a popular option to delete for enthusiasts. Generally speaking, the control arm that connects the rear axle to the SLS valve will break and cause the system to raise the rear of the car like an SUV, but a replacement part is around $30 from BMW. Moving on to the inside, there are some common problems to look out for, such as dead pixels on the instrument cluster, which can cost a few $100s to fix or over $1,000 to replace for a new cluster. The center console onboard computer or navigation, along with the temperature LCDs, also suffer the same pixel issues. I'd recommend testing the HVAC systems as thoroughly as possible, running both warm and cold climate on automatic mode as well as testing the various fan speeds. Over time, the blower motor can develop a low whine or gurgle. Check around the corners of the floor for dampness or moisture, which could be signs of clogged moonroof drains or a leaking heater core. The glove box handles were made from 100% garbage and will break, along with the cup holders. There are tutorials online to replace the glove box handle and even some retrofits to make them less prone to breaking. The OEM cup holders can be fixed or replaced with something custom like we covered last year. As is the case with any car, bring an OBD2 code scanner with you and check the port at the bottom of the HVAC controls to see if you have any codes stored in the system. You could go advanced with some BMW specific software like INPA to read system-wide fault codes from the engine's OBD port as well. When I bought the car, the check engine light was off, even after a 30-minute drive, yet 5 minutes after I set off for my purchase to fill up the tank for my 150-kilometer drive home, the check engine light came on, and it ended up being the mass airflow sensor. Take the car for a drive. A well-maintained E38 will shift smoothly in all gears, pull hard if going wide open, and ride smooth. A rough ride could be control arms, bushings, tires, or rims. Hard or struggling shifts could mean a transmission that needs servicing, and performance issues could be a long list of maintenance-related needs. Again, a community like Beamer Forums is crucial and one that I've turned to many times for advice and suggestions about troubles with my 7. Realistically, these cars are like any other used car. Look out for key things like I've mentioned along with the basics, such as body rust and damage, leaking fluids, accidents and service history, and overall condition of the car. Remember that these cars were nearly $100,000 when new, and often by the second and third owner, it became too costly for the drivers to continue servicing the vehicle at those levels. The unfortunate side effect of buying a BMW is that some people seem to think that all BMWs are meant to be thrashed around a racetrack. This isn't the case with the 7 Series, and hopefully the previous owners of the car you're looking at haven't treated it like it was a cheap race car. Use the resources available to you such as forums, Facebook groups, local enthusiast communities, and dedicated websites in order to fully appreciate and maintain your E38. According to E38.org, 327,560 E38s were produced in total, with 123,000 for the US and Canadian market. We've seen the prices and demand for older M cars go up over the past decade, with classics like the 8 Series grow popular as well. The E38 is easily the most appreciated 7 Series BMW ever produced, and it's safe to assume that as more E38s are taken off the road due to loss, theft, damage, and lack of maintenance, the prices for those that remain will increase. We're not quite at the point where low-mileage, original car is worth even half of what it was new, and chances are we won't get to that point, but highly sought-after cars like the 750iL and individual models are becoming a rare sight. Finding the right car might take a while, considering how many options these cars had when new. Xenon headlights, park distance control, and shadowline exterior trim are some of the big ones. Inside you might find navigation, widescreen for 2001, interior chrome line accents, rear sunshades, rear heated seats, and a special trim package offered called Highline, which added some elements from the 750 interior for V8 models, such as leather center console, unique upholstery coloring, and rear wood ashtrays. The 750 came with extended wood trim on the rear doors and B-pillars, C-pillar wood accent lights, wood trim seat backs, and extended leather along the doors, dashboard, and center console. A true sport model E38 was only offered as a 740i here in North America and included exterior shadowline trim, M-parallel rims with sport tires, sport suspension and differential, Steptronic transmission, upgraded sport seats, and the M Sport steering wheel. Most of the features were standalone options on the long wheelbase models. There were 38 standard exterior colors available to buyers, along with special order colors through BMW Individual. 19 different wood trims were produced for the various leather interiors, the most common being black, gray, sand beige, and marine blue. For a comprehensive list of paint, wood, and upholstery, visit e38registry.org.
I hope you've enjoyed our video on the E38 Buyer's Guide. If you have any questions about either car, please leave a comment below and we'll do our best to answer them. As always, your support helps us make this show possible, so if you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Until next time, take care.